Right, good morning everyone. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us, Andrew, as always, and very excited about taking everybody through our presentation today. I thought I'd start with a bit of a wake everybody up with an interesting headline today, because we've got the 9 a.m. slot. What do we mean by this daft headline this morning? It's basically everybody in this room, or lots of people in this room, I'm sure, will spend a lot of money on developing an employer brand. You might spend a lot of time creating an employer brand. But what we've found over the years that we've been creating employer brands, including the one for mydentist, is that it's not how much money you spend, it's not how long it takes to produce it, it's how well it's activated will determine the return on investment and just how well you actually see the benefits from creating it in the first place. So that's what our presentation is today. We're kind of skipping straight to the how do we activate it and how do you make sure it works and you get the value for money. So, if this loads, let's go. No? You might have to skip me on.
There you go.
So quick introductions. I'm Dave Walstow. I'm one of the directors at Creed. I've been in employer branding and talent attraction for nearly 18 years now, which is scary, and I've been at Creed for 8 years, and I've been privileged to have been supporting mydentist on this piece of work over the last few years.
Yeah, I'm Tom Russell. So I've been at mydentist for just over 6 years now, working in the marketing industry for around 12 years. I've had the benefit at mydentist to be able to work on the patient side of the business and the consumer side, but also the employee brand as well, and been able to work with Creed on quite a few projects.
Thanks, Tom. I'm Steve, client partner at Creed Communications. So I've been in the industry now for over 18 years, and I've been at Creed for 2 years.
So quick, if people in the room aren't familiar with Creed or indeed mydentist, just a quick slide on who Creed Communications are. We're an employer branding and talent attraction ad agency. We're based out of Manchester. We support businesses across the globe, and we're kind of sector agnostic. We work with businesses, irrespective of sector, and help them build employer brands to believe in.
And at mydentist, we are the UK's leading provider of affordable dental care. So we have over 500 practices nationwide at this moment in time. Been supporting patients for over 25 years, currently support around 4 million patients a year as well. We employ approximately 7,000 practice and support team staff, as well as over 3,000 dental associates in our network. And our purpose is purely, as the strapline says, is to help the nation smile. I suppose getting into why we commissioned Creed to look into our employer brand. So for us and many sectors, post-COVID, the dental sector did struggle. We had NHS backlog, we had clinician burnout, and fewer newly qualified dentists coming into the industry. And despite us as a business being able to offer unparalleled training, the latest state-of-the-art practices, mentorship programs and career progression, we felt as though that wasn't being amplified or shared throughout the industry. A lot of people didn't know what we offered, so that's why we brought Creed in. We're well aware that for ourselves, we needed to be able to stand out from the rest of the market to ensure that we could attract new prospective hires and also maintain the current employees that we had within the business. And ultimately, our aim was, and still is as a business, to ensure that we are the best place to work and practice in UK dentistry.
I'm glad you're doing my clicking, by the way. If you can just do one more, actually. Yeah. We're going to use the word employer brand throughout this presentation, by the way, but for people, including Tom, who work at mydentist, they know it as their people experience, because not everybody at mydentist are actually employed by mydentist. They've got a lot of people that they call associates. Dentists, hygienists, for example, aren't technically employed. So this was about their overall people experience. We're going to use the word employer brand and employee, so just for ease, not to confuse everybody in the room. Okay? So, I said we're going to kind of jump to the end and skip to activation. I'm going to do literally a minute on what we did to get to the point where we could activate it. So the discovery stage was obviously incredibly thorough. We surveyed everybody in the business. We did external surveys. We did focus groups. We did competitor analysis. We did stakeholder interviews. Got a massive, robust data set. We defined that employer brand. We created our employer brand essence. We built their EVP pillars. We got the visual design done, the tone of voice, and then ran education sessions within the business to make sure everybody knew where the brand had come from, how to use it, how it benefits them, how to use it positively and consistently. I'm making a 6-7 month project sound very quick there, but that was done. I'm skipping past all this. It was great. Tom's going to talk a little bit about it in a second. But what we're here to do mainly is to talk about the activation and knowing your challenges, kind of what your burning bridges at the start of this project was really important. And at Creed, we have 4 things that really define building a great employer brand. A great employer brand needs to be relevant to the audiences that you're targeting. It needs to differentiate you from the competition. It needs to be authentic to what the lived and true experience is, and it needs to be aspirational. What's the direction the business is going in? And for mydentist, we spoke to you guys and said, right, what are the things we need to immediately focus on to represent all those different things? How are we going to differentiate you? How are we going to make you relevant to those different audiences, employed or otherwise? So the first thing you commissioned Creed to do, well, we worked together on, I should say, really was nationwide photo shoots. That was to represent all the different types of people that you employed across the business, showcased diversity as well. We created a hero video that's playing in the background for anyone who can see the screens, as well as day in the life talking head type videos as well to use on social content. We spruced up your career. I'd love to say we developed you a new career site. We spruced up the current careers website to make sure that the new employer brand messaging ran across there, because safe to say at the time the career site was very much out of date and didn't reflect the business you were. And critically, these educate sessions, which was how do we get the people within the business who own the brand, use the brand, are ambassadors of the brand, to make sure that they're using it positively and consistently across all touch points. So no matter which way you access mydentist, whether you're an employee or a potential candidate, that you're seeing the same messages and seeing the same themes that the employer brand had kicked out. So that was the first thing that we did. We can move on one, Tom, please. And then we just wanted to get the basics right, set ourselves up for success. We created you can see again some of them flicking through, all the different creative assets we started to build out. So anything that you wanted to use in from your advertising materials, internal comms materials, social assets, built all them right up front. So you had a massive library of those. Steve and the team worked really closely on making sure all the media contracts were correct, aligned, but using inventory that would allow us to really showcase the employer brand as well, not just really basic job listings and stuff like that. We really wanted to bring the brand to life. And finally, it needed PE backing. You're a PE backed business. We had to present the benefits of developing a employer brand. Sorry, Tom. People experience. To show how that was going to give them a return on their investment as well. That was really important within the business that happened. So a lot of stuff happened almost immediately, didn't it, Tom, in terms of making sure we activated it in the right way, right from the get-go?
Correct, yeah, it did. And from that point on, it was very much for us internally to start bringing the employer brand, people experience to life. So for us in August 2024, that's when we started to do that, leaning on the pillar that I touched on before to be the best place to work and practice in UK dentistry. Creed helps us define a clear and inspiring employer brand essence, which we use on a daily basis with all our content. So that is Your Future, My Dentist. The majority of our creative will use the Your Future strapline, followed by following touch points to resonate with the audiences. And we also have 3 key people values that we run throughout the business. So we respect each other, we grow together, and we achieve as one. So that is now used throughout the business, whether it be in day-to-day business life, working with patients, or whether, for example, for ourselves in the support centre, working with our practice team and our dental associates. And as Steve has touched on, there was a lot of pre-work to be able to get us to a point where we could look at activating this. It was really key internally to be able to activate this to make sure it landed well within practices and make sure we started to use this as a business going forward. So we executed video and written launch communications, delivered training for all our teams, which again varied for the different types of people within the business, produced case study videos and imagery, as we already discussed, and developed a vital toolkit that the teams can reference on a daily basis with all the brand guidance. Externally, we developed a full lifecycle PR marketing strategy, which included working with industry leaders to make sure we could get that message out there. Redesigned our careers website, as it's been touched on, that it definitely needed a revamp, and now it's better than ever. The content and the copy, the creative is all linked back to our people values and our employee branding. Again, use those case studies and videos externally and built a long-term digital marketing off the back of our messaging. We've started to move the people values on from the educational phase, which was initially in August 2024, and we're very much a case now of wanting to bring those people values to life. They allow us to be flexible, share real life stories which we weren't able to previously, and sort of shine a light on our employees. For example, without the people values and without our employer brand redesign, we wouldn't have been made aware that we have a practice manager who is a beekeeper in their spare time, another one who's a shepherdess, and a dentist who in their spare time is a dog trainer. So again, they're just some of the stories that started to come out of our employer brand. We have ample amount of content now that with similar stories and people wanting to share their stories to sort of show the work-life balance that we provide as a business. We've also redefined our Excellence Awards as well, which we run annually. So our Excellence Awards have very much been a case of peer-to-peer awards, great work that people have done throughout the business throughout the year, and now we're able to link those back to our people values and employee branding to make sure, again, we're able to follow those on a daily basis. And it's not just been internally and organically that we've been looking at using our employee brand, it's been on digital tracking and sophistication as well. So a lot of the work that we do is looking, again, as I've already touched on, prospective employees coming into the business and dentists, clinicians, hygienists, a variety of different roles. And for us, the employer brand has given us, myself particularly, as the marketing manager, to be able to have a marketing strategy throughout the year and build a strategy based on different messaging throughout the year, different touch points which really resonate with the audience. Using the authentic stories across various marketing platforms, we're then able to build out KPIs built on those key metrics, which then help us analyse and improve the campaigns over time. I've sort of put an example in here of Dr. Natalia. So we support a lot of clinicians overseas who want to come to the UK and practice dentistry, and that isn't an easy thing to do for dentists who want to come from overseas and settle. But for us, we've been able to build case studies around internal clinicians who have come across, who can share their story and want to be able to promote what we do as a business. So Natalia has been able to build on her clinical skills, has had networking through our mentorship program, and has also developed her private revenue essentially to be able to build a life over here in the UK. Now this is just one type of story that we're able to now share across our paid marketing, our organic social channels as well, blogs and industry news. And again, with these are just imageries, but we're able to build interviews off the back of it as well, which pull out key quotes from our individuals.
Well, thanks, Tom. So you've heard everything we've done, but did it work? Did it get the results we wanted? And in a word, yes. If you look at the results on screen, Glassdoor reviews went up, double the click-through rate from what we were getting, double the year-on-year recruitment inquiries, increase in applications, decrease in cost per application, and lots of clinical hours filled, even in the hard-to-fill months. So every metric we would measure ourselves on, we were above them. But My Dentist is not a business that rests on its laurels, neither's Creed, so why should the employer brand rest on the laurels? So here are just a few things. If we did all of them, we'd go well over the time limit, but just a few things that my team and Tom's team are working on to make sure we future-proof the employer brand. So at the moment, we're currently running external surveys that are going out to dentists throughout the UK, just to make sure that the propositions that we said were right a year, 18 months ago, are still right for that market, because we all know how quickly the market changes. We're also checking how brand salience has gone up in the year since the EB's launched as well. We're also at the moment looking at utilising My Dentist People's network. So as you can imagine, dentists know other dentists, they've gone to dentistry school with them, they work with other dentists. So we're actually developing an employer referral program at the moment, using the employer brand pillars to make sure that it resonates with My Dentist internal people, but also the external market as well. So that should get more qualified, more relevant hires, bringing down the cost per hire. We're also looking at increasing organic applications. So we're currently working with My Dentist to improve the on-site and off-site copy. This would then make sure they get more organic applications through searches on things like Google, but also large language models as well, like Gemini and ChatGPT. Again, getting those organic, free applitions, so less reliance on paid-for media. Obviously, as Tom mentioned, overseas is a massive market for My Dentist. The UK has a shortage of dentists, so we've got to look at other areas. So we've been working with Tom and his team to actually identify new territories where we can go out to market. So we've done research on where dentists can have the relevant qualifications to work in the UK. There's a large English-speaking population because obviously they need to speak English, and also they can easily get visas to come and work over here. So we've identified these countries, and we're now looking at the relevant media, so the job boards, the social media, things like that, to go out and reach these people to get them to come and work in the UK. And then finally for this, so if we went through everything we're working on, we'd be here all afternoon, but we're actually looking at reaching target audiences where they are. So, you know, as you've heard from Tom and Dave, my dentists have a lot to shout about. They've got some fantastic stories that can't be told by sponsoring a job ad Indeed. So we're looking at going right through the funnel, so through kind of above the line media, like targeted out of home advertising, outside things like dental schools, ring fencing industry events using mobile marketing, through to kind of middle of the funnel things like targeted programmatic social, and then right through to the bottom of the funnel with things like the BDJ, the British Dental Journal, Indeed, Google Performance as well. So we're making sure that anyone from kind of newly qualified right through to experienced dentists, whether they're just even considering moving or actually looking for a job, we're reaching them. So that's us. I suppose just as a bit of a summary, really, obviously, an employer brand is a big, complex, important piece of work, but what you do with it is just as important. So many great employer brands are developed and they just sit on a shelf, used by the HR team only, if that. So it's really important that once you've developed it, you educate your people on how to use it. You make sure it's activated effectively, both internally and externally. And then ultimately you innovate, you make sure that it's still fit for purpose, and you use it across all the different touch points across the business. So that's us. Thank you for your time and attention. And any questions?
Fantastic, thank you. A sudden sea of hands. I had a few questions. They may well be asked by others. If you can say who you are, which organisation you're with, and then ask the question away.
Hi, my name is Sylvia. I'm from Brentford's Employer Branding from Budapest. And in Hungary, we're dealing a lot with AI and how it's transforming how people are searching and using media. And I saw that one of your priorities was working on the SEO and organic reach. And we see that it's changing a lot how AI overview, for example, is basically, it's an AI crocodile. It's eating up engagement. So what do you see? What are the trends that are really future-proof for employer branding and organic SEOs?
100%. It's something that Tom and I have been talking about, because obviously, traditionally, SEO was quite easy. You made sure the copy was keyword heavy, your metadata was done, you've got your kind of, you copy on your own site plus what you're putting out there, and then you come up top of the Google search rankings, it was fine. AI is completely thrown a spanner in the works, so you need to be ahead of the curve on that. So we're looking at different tools like SEMrush and things like that, where you can actually see what people are searching for in these large language models. So rather than what they're putting in Google, you can see the kind of things that people are asking. By doing that, we can then make sure the content that my dentist is putting out, both on the career side, but on blogs and things like that, is mirroring these kind of things that people are asking. So you're almost gaming the AI a little bit. You can see these trends that for dentists it might be, what's the best country to go and work overseas as a dentist, or what's the best paying dentistry jobs, or things like that. We can see what people are asking ChatGPT, we can make sure we have content around that.
And at the risk of this sounding like a cheap plug, and it's not, we conducted a survey this year that we've just published only yesterday from Creed of 1,000 UK job seekers, and we asked them loads of questions. It's a bit of a state of the market, I suppose. And one of the questions was, how do you search for a job? 16% of people were using AI to search for jobs versus like a 70% using Indeed. So you can see that number starting to creep up. It was also, where do you use AI in the application process, creating CVs, creating covering letters? I don't remember the percentages off the top of my head, because like I say, it was yesterday, but significant percentage of people using it now for creation of things that are going to homogenize things, which isn't always great. So yeah, it's certainly growing.
We see direct applications from it as well. So we work with Lidl, and when we're looking at the source of the applications, ChatGPT, don't get me wrong, it's not as high as Total Jobs or Indeed or anything like that, but we are seeing direct applications from ChatGPT, so it's something that we definitely need to be working on.
Thank you.
Fantastic. There were other questions here. Hold on one second. Again, if you can say who you are, which organisation with, and then ask away.
Hi, my name is Adam from Brandfiz, Budapest. We are a question asking agency. So my question is about your time frame. So what was the time frame for the whole project, and what was the base of your result data? So it was compared to the last year. So this is the first question. And the second, what was your biggest challenge in order to reach these goals?
Oh, I can do you the timescale one quite easily. So basically that piece of work, we started that work in, I want to say 2023. We probably started this work, but it was we'd worked with mydentist in the past. You went away from us for a few years, came back in about 2020, 2021, and then we kind of revamped the employer brand. It was a 7-8 month project from start to finish, which is a typical duration that we tend to find if deadlines generally get met. I think the biggest challenge that we faced, this is you'll have a different view, Tom. I think the challenge from our standpoint was it's always internal stakeholders. There's always who do we need in the room? Who are the people that are going to be potentially blocking the different stages of this project? Are they going to, is it on brand? What's our tone of voice? Are they happy with what we're saying and how we're saying it? Kind of got through all of that. I think the biggest challenge was kind of disposing of the old employer brand that was kind of dated and then wheeling in the new one, which took a little bit of transition time, but obviously it got there within about a 6-month period. But it was unpicking the old to bring in the new, which it did need the new because you'd completely changed from IDH, kind of the old brand name that you were, to mydentist, and it needed to move forward. So it was a brand change that you had that needed an employer brand change as well. I don't know if you would answer it in a different way.
To be fair. Yeah.
Okay. Did I answer all your questions there? Great, thank you.
Fantastic. There were other questions here, was it? Here we go.
Good morning, Robert Peasnell, TMP Worldwide. Private equity firms are obviously pretty notorious for not opening their wallets very easily. What were the key kind of metrics or outcomes that they were looking for that gave them the confidence to sign off the project?
I'm going to look at you, Tom. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think for us as a business is, as I touched on previously, there's a retention piece that has, from an employee point of view, but not also employee, but also dentist. I mean, there's 45,000 UK dentists in the market. We want to be able to obviously have as many of those in mydentist as possible. And for us, as Dave's touched on, we previously had an old brand called IDH, which probably didn't have the best reputation. There's a high turnover within that, and really for the private equity perspective and just the business as a whole was, how do we change that message? We hadn't done that before. I mean, now we're able to build case studies that are built on people who, for example, we title it as I left IDH and I came back to mydentist. Because again, they've left the business, weren't happy with it. We've been able to build a new employer brand. We've been able to start having those advocates within the business, which we didn't have. So it was more a case of how does that brand awareness increase in comparison to where it was.
And Robert as well, I'd just quickly add to that as well, the way you talk about things internally is about the cost of an empty chair, if I've still got that right. So it was almost reducing the empty chair hours within each of the different practices was a huge metric for you guys, because it was how much, I'm trying to remember the way you calculated it, but it was the cost of doing the employer brand was easily offset by just having one extra dentist filling a chair for a couple of, I can't remember what the metric was, but it was so easy to say, just invest this, and this will help you get those associate dentists that you're missing, which will pay for itself almost immediately. And that was the confidence they needed. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. I think we're going to have to leave it there for questions. You guys are going to be around in the coffee break and at lunchtime. So if you have any questions, they will be there. You can ask them those questions later. Steve, Dave, Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.